Entry date 7/11/2017. Kinda. Maybe 7/12. But it's after midnight. But anyway. Dear Journal, another entry goes in today. And again, it's one of those with mixed feelings. Because after I finished my journal entry last night, and before I went to bed, I had an overwhelming hit of anxiety to the point where it actually felt like a panic attack. And it was weird because it came up all at one time about worrying about losing my job, losing everything. And when I say everything, I mean like losing my job, losing my car, losing the place I live, losing Mr. Kitty, losing my friends, and losing my sanity. It was totally random, and it totally came out, it literally came out of nowhere. And it was a very unsettling feeling, and I honestly felt like I could not control it. And it really, really sucked. I also got to thinking about two friends of mine. One of which was when, after Sky and I broke up, this was 10.5 years ago when we broke up. And a couple of months later, a friend of his and / former roommate overdosed on heroin and died. And it feels like, even though so many years have passed since then, it just feels like yesterday when I heard the news that he died. And it hit me and hurt me so bad. And I felt totally helpless. It also rolled into the fact that there was another person I knew that took his own life. So both of those thoughts really hit me hard, and it made me feel so uncomfortable that night. Now, before anybody wants to panic or anybody wants to reach out and say, are you okay? And do you need to talk to somebody? Maybe I do need to talk to somebody, but I will tell you right now, at this moment, I do not feel the need to take my own life. So I want everybody to just know that I do not feel the need to take my own life. So nobody worry about that, please. But I am sad, and I feel helpless at the fact that it still happens to this day for various reasons, and for the reasons I feel, because yes, I do deal with depression. Yes, I deal with anxiety. Is the fact that too often we feel taken advantage of. Too often we feel used and abused. And I mean not just physically abused, but mentally abused and verbally abused. And sometimes it's a matter of, some people will think of it as a joke, and some people will think nothing of it. But when the saying you always go, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt, that's not always the case. There are people out there that have been constantly treated unfairly, that have been treated poorly, and treated less than their worth. And after a while, the person that has been receiving all that may perceive that as everyday life. And the next thing you know, all that negativity and all that sadness feels like that's what's normal for them. And that's so hard to take in sometimes. And I know for me, out of my experience, I have been so verbally abused and felt ignored, especially when I would reach out for help. I remember when I was in my elementary school and my junior high school time that I would get bullied a lot from other kids. And I would always, get the short end of the stick. If I would get yelled at by a teacher, it was always made to believe that it was my fault. Like I provoked it, and I didn't. And if I went to my immediate family and asked for help on that, and try and figure out what do I do when all this is going on, the answer that I always would get is ignore it and it would go away. And needless to say, that as often as I would try to ignore it, it just egged them on to do it more often and more viciously. And I eventually became more short-tempered, more frustrated, because the advice that family gave me didn't work. And on top of it, it felt like that was the only answer they could do, because either A, they didn't feel like they were capable of handling it, or B, they did not care. Regardless if it was one, the other, or both, that impact really hit me. That I felt that I could not really depend on anyone. It got to a point where I really had to feel like I had to fend for myself and try to train myself and teach myself what was right and what was wrong. And that's just in a morality sense. In a sense of just making it through these days, I still feel like I don't know what the hell I'm doing. It sucks. But let's go back to the top. Just to give you, because the reason why I gave all that was to give a large sense of insight of what goes in my head. What goes on in my head. And some people feel like they have the answer right out the gate. Some people feel like they do not have the answer out the gate. And I know for a fact, I sure as hell don't know the answer to that. But what I can tell you is that if there's a problem, it needs to be addressed. It needs to be handled, either quick, fast, or slow paced, but it needs to be handled. And I felt like, for me growing up, I did not know how to handle it. And here I am trying to figure out how to. and not knowing if it's the right way, if it's the wrong way, if it's a variable, or what have you. It's tricky. It's very tricky. That's the main thing. Moving forward from that, when I got up this morning, it was late. I was nearly late out the door trying to get out, so I said, screw it. I'm just not going to go in. So I emailed the bosses, and so I'll be out of the office today. During that time, I just slept and tried to clear my head of a lot of things. And I think some of it was successful, because throughout the day I just felt more at peace with myself. Definitely felt more at peace with myself. Pardon me. But as I get ready to go home tonight, after having a wonderful video game social, seeing a couple of folks, meeting a couple of new folks, and so on, and running across with two people, one of which I know I can fully trust. It was a relief, seriously. I was at peace. I just hope when I get ready to rest my head to pillow tonight, I'll be able to rest easy in order to face tomorrow in the office confidently. Pardon me. So to summarize this, I would say tonight's journal entry was a bit of anxiety, a bit of peace, and hope. For those that are watching, I hope you took this in as a good sport. I do appreciate any comments that you drop in there, all constructive. Also, if you want, feel free to subscribe. Like I said before, I will try to do journal entries every day. Can't promise it though, but I will try. Sometimes it's late like this because when I'm on my way home getting ready for bed, I actually get more of my thoughts and collaborate things in my head for that night. So of course it's nighttime drives, and you don't necessarily see my face as I'm making it home. Maybe that's a good thing, maybe that's not, but we'll see. But thank you for watching, and thank you for listening. This ends tonight's journal entry.